Thank you. Good. All the best to both of us.
Hello, everyone, on Women Dialogues. And I'm your host, Shashi, to create more voice for women and by women. And today's our guest joining us from South Africa, Tebello. And she is very experienced and worked many years in leadership and business consultant with more than 20 years, having multi-award winner internationally. So let's start without delay to hear her life story, her success journey, to learn, to motivate, to inspire. So welcome, Mr. Bello on Women Dialogues.
Thank you, Dr. Shashi. I'm quite glad to be here.
It's great pleasure to have you here, and we are really excited to hear about as you are leadership consultant. You are having 20 years experience, and you have you got awarded with a lot of awards. So, just would like to hear about how it all started, your early life journey, and all.
Okay, so I was born and bred in the little town of Sharpeville. Sharpeville will be known in the world as, the town where the 1960 massacre happened in South Africa, where
Mhm.
over 30 people were shot in the back, as they were demonstrating against, the past laws. Anyway, my parents survived that massacre, and I'm the firstborn of three children.
Mhm.
I have two brothers, that were born after me. Unfortunately, life has dealt a blow to our family. So right now, the people that are left are myself and the brother who comes after me. My mom, my dad, and the last born have, passed on. So growing up, as the firstborn, anyone who's a firstborn on this, video will know the responsibilities that you have. You're responsible for the house when the parents are not there. You're
Right.
responsible for looking after your brothers. You're
Yeah.
responsible for, you're kind of the vice parent,
Uh-huh.
when your parents are not there. So I kind of think that my leadership capabilities, started from there. Grew up in Sharpeville, studied there, did my schooling there. And then I went to, for the first time in my life, I left my parents and my family. I went to a town that is about 400 kilometers away, studied
Wow.
at the University of Durban-Westville. I remember my mother saying, "Where are you going? Why are you going so far away from me?" And at that stage, I think when I went to university, I was only 16. So you can
Wow.
imagine, as a mother, she's thinking, my only daughter, young as she is, going away from me, how is the world going to treat her? And
Yeah.
however, I have to say that my varsity years were the best years of my life. If ever
Yeah.
there was a time my character was created, was when I was at the University of Durban-Westville.
Yeah, and sounds wonderful the way you explained about how the way you grew up having the siblings, those are younger to you, and building up your leadership quality. It sounds interesting, and it reminding me my own childhood actually when you was explaining, but it was more of a little different because I am the youngest one, so I was getting more pampered. When we are talking about this your leadership qualities and all, and we know that you are very famous leadership consultant, you have worked in human capital, building up leadership qualities in them. So how after your college, how it all started? Do you started working directly, or how that confidence came in you the way you are today?
Okay, thank you. So interestingly enough, so I studied philosophy and law at university, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was going to be this big, philosopher in my life.
Yeah.
Maybe I am a philosopher in one way, but not in the way that I anticipated when I was at varsity.
Right.
So because my father could not afford to pay for my studies any further, I had to look for a job after I did my honors degree in philosophy. And I
Mhm.
was lucky to find a job at, the power utility here in South Africa, ESCOM. And my first
Mhm.
job was a graduate in training, right? And this is 1994, a very interesting time in our lives. So on the
Yeah.
1st of April, 1994, I start working. On the 27th of April, 1994, we have our first democratic elections in our country. And the place where I was working, was still considered as one of the bastions of apartheid. So I still
Mm-hmm.
remember the day before the election day, you know, how everybody was so scared of how the day would turn out. And the
Mm-hmm.
27th of April 1994 turned out to be a beautiful time, you know, in our country. For a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
it was the first time, you know, that we were able to vote in our country. And I think in a way, subconsciously, that impacted me in terms of wanting to ensure that I assist people, I guide people, I coach people so that they can become, you know, the best that they can become. Because I went away to study. I
Mm-hmm.
worked at a time when the country was changing. So in a way,
Mm-hmm.
my work life started when this country was changing, and it's just been a constant change and
Yeah.
lots of improvements and lots of successes
Mm-hmm.
ever since then. So when I started in the human capital space,
Yeah.
as a trainee in organizational development. And for one reason or another, my life just moved into the space of learning and development for the 24 years I was in the corporate world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. But when we are talking about this, like you brought a lot of topic and a lot of issues. And when we are talking about especially the way the first time you came out from your home as a 16 years old girl, whereas being a mother, she's having a lot of fear, a lot of stress, anxiety about her daughter. But same time, it was initially from learning, then further getting into
Mhm.
career in your job. It was challenging as well for you, I believe, in many ways when we are talking about this apartheid and all these kind of issues are surrounded, right, in the particular
Yes.
environment, and you are learning, you are thriving, you are catching up all those skills. How was that all?
It was, you know, I think for me, because my parents have always played a big role in my life. So a lot of what I achieved was more about making them feel good that, you know, they brought me up, they took me to school, and
Mm,
they basically did everything for me. So on the one side, there was that element that I didn't want to disappoint my parents, you know.
mm,
And yet on the other side, I think you know, as I said, I came in at a time when a
mm,
new democracy, when a new way of doing things was being birthed. So
mm,
in my life, I've been part of this since, you know, the day that it was birthed. And therefore, what I have seen, you know, has always been about the positive aspects, the opportunities, yes, the
mm,
opportunities that are always there for each and every one of us. And therefore, I've always been looking at how do I help people and how do I also help myself to take advantage of those opportunities.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's wonderful. But when we are talking about all these, you brought this about your parenthood issues and all, and being a parent, like I know I am myself a parent, and a lot of changes along with your career line comes. So how about your parent? Maybe I believe maybe you are also a parent, or how was your journey in this regard?
My journey has been an interesting and not such a positive journey.
Hmm.
Well, people ask me, because most of the time people see me on my own and they ask me, do you have children?
Hmm.
And I have learned to say to them, I have 6 children in heaven.
Hmm.
My first child was born as a premature. I only lived for 3 months. And then I went through about 3 miscarriages, and kind of, you know, late in the pregnancy, 2 of these miscarriages that I had, I was already 20 weeks old. And the last
Hmm.
miscarriage that I had was with twins, and I was sitting at 22 weeks old. And it was after their passing that I started
Hmm.
thinking, I need to stop. How can I acknowledge them? How can I
Hmm.
recognize that they were part of my life? And I read a book, and
Hmm.
in this book, you know, the lady had written also about her experiences. And she
Hmm.
said, you know, recognize them by
Hmm.
acknowledging that they were part of your life. So that's why when people ask me if I have children, I tell them I have
Hmm.
6 children in heaven. But
Yeah.
God has also been quite funny, because He's given me lots of nephews and nieces. So I am
Mhm.
more of an aunt, you know.
Mhm.
And once in a while, I get, the nephews and nieces calling and asking for advice, and glad that I'm part of their lives. So I never really feel that I'm not a parent. I am a
Mhm.
parent to my nephews and my nieces. Yes.
Yeah, and I think the way you explained about your experience with your own life and getting those, those kind of incidents or these kind of things happened, which is really sad to hear. And as you said, you have six children in heaven. It is a kind of a really, when we are hearing, it brings a lot of memories, it brings a lot of understanding, thinking. And when you said that you bought that courage in your life yourself to speak out about this issue in this way, in this statement that I have six kids in heaven, it's really needs a lot of courage, a lot of boldness,
Yes.
being a woman. So we know a lot of, as you was talking about the other book you was reading, but in the same way it happens with a lot of other females, and they really get into this cycle of sad feeling themselves not performing well, or they started doubting on their own body. They
Yes.
feel those all kind of things. uh, what you advise, what you can tell about those kind of things, because I think you have gone through with those challenges, and you are
Yeah.
today, you have overcome, you are a big leadership consultant, and also what we can be is.
I think my advice is to every parent, and both to the mothers and the fathers of those children that are in heaven. Acknowledge, what has happened. Deal
Mm,
with the sadness. I did go through my own sadness. In fact, there was a time where I started, having to see a psychologist, because I thought, depression is going to take the better of me. And it was
mm,
during that time that I realized that because I've had such big losses in my life, I had to
mhm,
acknowledge and I had to confront those
mm,
losses. So, yes, do go through the losses, do go through
mm,
the sadness, but do not let it define your life. So
mm,
I started learning that I should not let that
mm,
loss define my life. In fact, the other day I was talking with a friend of mine who is very spiritual, and she
mm,
said to me, I need to give you a message from some children. The children are
mm,
saying, thank you for having agreed to be our mother. We know
mm,
that we couldn't be with you for a long time, but we just want to thank you. So, also, what I found in my life is that I would get all these messages, from different people that would say to me, I just received this message and I need to give it to you. And as
mm.
I go and I think about those messages, I then realize that I cannot keep on, wallowing in the sorrow of those losses. I have
Yeah.
to appreciate the role that I played and be able to
Mhm.
move on with life.
Yeah, yeah, that's a super powerful message I can say, because especially for those women who many times they get into those kind of unprecedented, unwanted incidents, and it keep them in the same cycle. So that is
Exactly.
really powerful way, where the way you explain how one can overcome, how one can uh, talk, the self-talk and versus with others, and how they can see in a larger perspective about their life. So when we are talking about all, it is indirectly, it is bringing again, I will say, your leadership qualities, which so I'm really passionate about to hear about your work. You are, you have got a lot of awards. So tell more about you have. I think you are founder of your own company, Mosaic. What is
Yes.
all about?
So Mozite, which
Yeah.
is MO is the first two capital the letters of my surname,
Yeah.
ZI, my middle name, TE, my last name. It's
Ooh.
something, that I've always wanted. Even when I was at school, I remember I used to write
Mhm.
Mozite in my books. I didn't know that one day I would
Mhm.
create a company with that name.
Yeah.
So I created that company because I realized that I was not, I knew, after a while that I was not going to be in the corporate world forever.
Mm-hmm.
At some stage, I needed to go out and, develop a business and provide services on my own. So what is it that I intend to do? It's still a fairly new company. And I'm excited about growing it. What is it
Yeah.
that I intend to do with the company? I want to focus on women development because I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to help women find their voice. I'm
Yeah.
always told that your voice, you have such a powerful voice. And I remind people that you also have your own powerful voice. You just need to
Mm-hmm.
find it and be able to use it, for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. I also want to help people in terms of coaching and mentoring them in terms of their own personal development, because I love listening to stories of, where people are at, what their goals and, visions are, and how then do I help them? Because I recognize that in my life, I'm one of those people. Sometimes I have to remind myself that it feels like I got things easy in my life, moving from school to varsity to work to the space that I'm at. And I want to use that experience to be able to help people recognize that they can achieve their goals and visions that they have.
I think
I'm also
I just would like to say the way you explain about that you feel like your life was easy. Maybe many times we try to, since it's our mindset, it's our approach to see our life, and then we try to subside those challenges we have gone through.
right.
And I believe you had, as you yourself, challenging, and every time making a balance between your family relations with your parents and keep going on with your, so it is itself very big challenge, because when you are not having same alignment with your parents, the same thought, it is a challenge to
Mm.
continue your work or study or whatever you want to do, and having same support from your family. So
Yes,
I
yes.
think it is a positive approach which you mentioned, and I think we all have to learn that way, that how we can keep going and overcome our challenges, and continue to seeing our success path. Yeah, please continue about your company. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I want to use this company to be as an MC and as a moderator of training programs, because I also
Mhm.
find that when you are in an MC or a moderator of training programs role, you do have an
Mhm.
opportunity to share,
Mm.
your experiences, your skills. You do also have an opportunity to shape, the
Mhm.
conversations that people are having. And when
Mhm.
I do that, because I'm also a golfer, and it's a
Mhm.
game that I love playing, but it's also taught me so much, Shashi. I am
Wow.
amazed at what I learn out of it. So I also want to bring their lessons that I got out of golf into the personal and leadership development space. So that's what this company is going to be doing. I'm going to be out there speaking to the world.
Wow, that's wonderful. And just one more thing I would like to ask: when we are talking about your work, your company, your leadership, your coaching, and all kind of, and you are yourself as a strong woman, and you said you would like to work and develop this quality in women, especially along with other company and other work as well, without seeing gender differences. But when we are talking about this, what is most strong point about your as a feminine leadership?
I think the strong point for me as a feminine leadership is acknowledging that
Mm,
I am who I am. I will
mm,
never be a man in this life. Maybe in a
mm,
future life, I could come back as a man, but in this life, I am a female. In this
mm,
life, I am intuitive. In this life, I
mm,
want to collaborate with people. In this
mm,
life, I want to help and support and develop people. And that is
mm,
what I bring. Those are the feminine qualities that I believe,
mm,
I bring into this life. And that's what I want to be able to help other women and
yeah.
men, because there are men who have strong women, there are men who have daughters, and they're saying, how do I help my daughter to grow? I always say to men when they complain about, oh, women are stronger there anymore, I look at them and I say, but aren't you the type of man that encourages your daughter to be strong, your daughter
Yeah.
to achieve what she wants to achieve.
Yeah.
So how would you feel when other men starting talking to your daughter in the same way? And you can see the shift starting to happen in the head, that hold
Mhm.
on, the things that I'm complaining about, I'm actually developing my daughters or even my wife or my sister in the same space. So I need to be careful about the language that I use as I
Mhm.
work with female in the space. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's really inspiring the way as you explained about how you are dealing and how you're giving them that sense to create that leadership qualities in their life and same time rather than asking question to others to develop that question and productive mindset in them their own life. So when we are talking about all
Yes.
these kind of work, all these your this it is very authentic. It is bringing your, as you said, to you accept the way you are. How one can develop that, because it is, I think, it's a challenge for many of us. And
Yes.
how one can do that to become authentic and having their own, then same time whether these leadership qualities whatever they have in their own.
Yes. I think, Shashi, it's also about taking time
Hmm.
to reflect on who you are.
Hmm.
When you go through a coaching process, when you go
Yeah.
through a process with a psychiatrist or psychologist, there are questions they'll ask you. Who are you?
Hmm.
They don't ask you what are you or how are you. They ask who are you. and
Yeah.
and I want to encourage people to take the time and spend the time understanding who they are, because once you have understood who you are and you have
Hmm.
understood what you want to achieve in life, you then
Yeah.
start surrounding yourself with the people that are going to help you achieve that goal. And that's where this
Mhm.
whole concept of mentoring and coaching becomes so critical. But what I love about mentoring and coaching, it's not about finding people that have made money or people that are well known. Some of our best mentors, Shashi, are our aunts, our mothers, our lady next door, the lady who owns the shop at the corner of the street. Those can
Yeah.
be our mentors because they have gone through whatever challenges life has brought to them and they have made it. And sometimes it's just spending 5 minutes with them and just asking them about where they grew up, because there's going to be a nugget of learning that's going to come out of that
Hmm.
conversation.
Wow, beautiful. That's really beautiful. That how one can learn from each moment and from each person. The way you explain, that's beautiful. So when we are talking all about what is your future plan of your work, how you see your work in future.
Shashi, I'm looking forward to the times and days when we can travel the world. And, we obviously we will live within the COVID regulations so that I can be able to go back into traveling the world and sharing this message with people in person. I also love what technology has done. I mean, if it wasn't for COVID and for Zoom, I wouldn't have met Shashi and we wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm also
Ah,
very excited about what technology has done. So I'm looking forward to being able to travel and share, this message.
mhm,
As you know, I'm also the ambassador of Female Wave of Change in South Africa. So I'm also
mhm,
looking forward to growing that platform country so that we can connect as many women and
mhm.
men that believe in the development and empowerment of women as possible. So those are some of the things that I really want to be doing. Oh, if also I could add to this. I've recently become a crypto enthusiast, right? So,
Wow.
and I've learned a lot, about cryptocurrency. And I tell you, Shashi, we cannot be letting, this revolution go. So I also want to be able to spend more time talking to women and showing them how, by being involved in cryptocurrency, it can help them with their businesses. And so they're able to grow their businesses. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's something interesting, and actually, I think it might be interesting for many of, especially females, to know about this. What is all about this cryptocurrencies? Because we are keep hearing about these cryptocurrencies, having all these kind of Bitcoin and all. But when we are talking about, we might be having a different session and detail to talk about this finance education for females, and we can
Yes,
have more detailed talk about it. But definitely, I believe what you are doing is powerful, and we need those kind of work. But when we are talking all about your work and all, would you like to share some story or incident where you find, yes, I made this?
wow. I think there's so many I can
Yeah,
think of.
exactly. I believe you
Um,
must be having lot of,
yeah,
because every time when you are doing this training, coaching, and leadership consultant, you are changing people life.
yeah,
So where, but sometimes it
yes.
really touch in our life, it
Okay,
touch our heart, that, and it gives us kind of
yes.
accomplishment feeling, which you would like to bring on this platform.
Yes. Thank you, Shashi, for that question. And, my thoughts have brought me back to this. So, early on in my career, one of
Mm-hmm.
the responsibilities I was given
Mm-hmm.
was to facilitate a program that was called the Accelerated Development Program. It was a program that was targeted at black professionals that were coming into that workspace, and
Mm-hmm.
we were basically helping them so that they could accelerate their development in their organization. And many years, I think probably about 15 years after I had done that program and worked on the program, moved on to another company, I met two individuals that who were much older than me. When I was working, I was in my early 20s, and here I am facilitating and moderating and project managing this program. And in the program, I'm having people who are 20 years, 10 years older than me. So, to cut a long story short, was when I met, a father, in the shops, and he called out my name, and I couldn't remember where I had met him, and he reminded me where I met him, and he was with his daughter, and he said to his daughter, "This is the woman that changed my life."
Wow.
I looked at him and I said, "What?" He says, "Yes. Every time when I talk to my daughter and I tell her what is possible, I use as an example to say to her, I remember meeting a young woman who was challenging me, who, wanted me to develop. And every time about her, I remind my daughter that it is possible for you." So it's when I meet people, that I haven't seen in years, and they say to me, "Because you came across my path, my life changed." And it didn't just change because you did something, it changed because you challenged me to become a better person, to become a better version of me. So yeah, those stories are the ones that bring a smile to my face,
That's,
and they keep
yeah.
me going and going and going. Yes.
Yeah, and that actually that's really beautiful, and it brings a lot of meaningful in our life. The purpose, as you said, it makes you keep going and going each day, because at the end of the day, you really feel yourself accomplished and successful when you see those kind of stories where you created the meaningful and the meaning in their life. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all these with us on this platform, to me, to our audience. It was great learning today. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Shashi. And I wish you all the best with this platform. Let's find more women that can share their stories, because when we dialogue as women, we help others to be able to stand up and to use their voice and grow in this world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Definitely, we need such kind of dialogues, and we need such kind of voice like you and many others. Those are wonderful, and those are creating change, and those are creating meaning for themselves and for others. And I love that way, the way you explain your work. And it is fascinating. It is super fascinating. I am really glad to hear all about. And last but not least, what one message would you like to give to our viewers?
My last message to the viewers, Shashi, is really that do not be afraid to use your voice. You never know who you are going to impact by just using your voice. Don't be afraid.
Wow, 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 wow. It is powerful. It is bringing your leadership. In this sentence, I can feel your leadership qualities, your leadership work. It is powerful. Once again, thank you so much, Tebello. It was great pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Shashi. Namaste.
Namaste. I love that. Okay. And thanks to all viewers. If you would like to hear more women voices and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us. Please share, subscribe, like, and thank you. See you in the next episode. And once again, don't forget to check the Tabello's work. Her work details are in description below as well. See you in the next time. Till then, take care. Enjoy. Bye-bye.